I'd like to say something about this photograph, and this is a different video, viewers. I'd like to say something about this photograph. Okay. Now, the reason why, I'm going to show you the reason why Europe, it's democracy. America is democracy. It's slightly different from Ghana. There are a few African countries, South Africa, that's good. These are two gentlemen. Ablakwa was struggling on the show last night. I'll show you the video. But these are two gentlemen seated. On the right is the journalist asking the questions. On the left is the powerful politician, Samuel Kudeta Ablakwa, the foreign minister. But here's the catch. These two gentlemen are mates from Presec. They were sat in the same class. They are mates. So when Bernard Avle is interviewing Kudeta Ablakwa, he has no qualms, he has no fears, he has no embarrassment, he has no hesitations. And in that spirit, Ghana will get its due out of the minister. In that spirit, the minister is careful to answer the questions in a certain way because they belong to the same social class. They belong to the same academic background. They came from the same school. The difference, and that is why we are struggling, we have a problem in democracy if this one has to remunerate this one. Then we have a problem. It's okay for us to have them on the same level. That's an improvement. We didn't used to have that in the past. Now we are getting quite a bit of that. So it's improvement. The next level of improvement is that this one should not be able to remunerate this one. This one should earn as much as this one. That's where it settles it. And that's why you find in the advanced democracies, they protect journalism. They don't allow all of us to become journalists. They protect it. So you will see that it's okay to be a journalist and become a politician in England. That's fine. Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, he was editor of the Daily Mail. But all the time he edited the Daily Mail, he was a conservative. He's been a conservative forever. I don't like to use myself as an example. Like me, I've been right-wing forever. So you shouldn't be surprised if you find me in a right-wing government tomorrow. It's okay because I've been right-wing, defending right-wing policy for a long time. There are journalists who are left-wing. But whilst at journalism, that journalist should be equally matched with the politician. It is only then that the nation will survive. When equally matching a politician with academic qualification, equally matched with a politician with information, equally matched with a politician with social connections, social standing, social status, they should be equally matched. If they are equally matched, then the country will be saved. If they are equally matched, democracy will be tested. If they are equally matched, the politician will be questioned and will be interrogated in the interest of the nation and the growth of democracy. This is what we have been lacking for a long time. Now we are getting to the level. But we need to find a way in which journalists are so well paid that when the two of them leave Presec, the best one is going to media because that's where they are getting well paid. We should be taking people from school and paying them the way GMPC pays them. We should be taking people from school and paying them the way Bank of Ghana pays them. Because the media is more important than GMPC for the sustenance of democracy. The quality you have in the media is more important than Bank of Ghana for the sustenance of democracy. Many years ago, I'll tell this story very quickly and I end. Many years ago, we were looking for sponsors for Good Evening Ghana. So we went into a bank, a state bank, I'll mention the name. And the bank said to us that they don't like politics. They are not interested in politics. It's politics and politics. So I was with my boss and I told them that if you are not interested in politics and you don't let us streamline the politics and give the people a voice and let the people feel that the politicians are doing the right thing, you will become like Liberia. You will carry your mattresses and you'll be walking on the streets. You are a bank manager, but you carry your mattress and walk on the streets when the civil war breaks out. And then they said to me that, but if the civil war breaks out, you are inside. And I said, I will not be inside. They said, why? I said, oh, me, I will be spokesperson for the rebels. In those days, the Liberia Civil War had just finished. And they all laughed. And I said, yes, I will grant the BBC interview for the rebels. And I'll say that I represent NPLA. And I'll say that they are fighting for democracy. And the president had violated article this and article that of the Constitution. And he had postponed elections indefinitely. The rebels will rely on me to say that for them. But you, bank manager, you will carry your mattress and you will be walking on the road. So invest in the media. When the media is solid, powerful, and sustained like America. This afternoon, I was watching a press conference of Donald Trump and Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister. Oh my goodness, I just loved it. You could tell that the media in the room and Donald Trump and Keir Starmer were equal. They are all Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard. They earn a lot of money. And so they were asking bold questions of Donald Trump. The Sky News lady said, Mr. Trump, you said the other day that you were disappointed about Vladimir Putin. Do you now regret doing the things that you do? I was watching. I said, when will Ghana get to this level? Until we get there, the democracy still has a long way to go. So when I saw this interview yesterday, I said, we are getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere. These are equally mad. They were mates. I don't know who was chopping first and who was chopping second. But if you ask me, let me look at their heads and see. I don't know. But these are people who were in the same secondary school, sat in the same class. One becomes a journalist, one becomes a foreign minister, politician. And he's asking him questions. And he knew him when he was 17 years old. And they were in the same class. So Ablakwa is not going to, look down on Bernard Avle. No way, you can't. You can't. Because we're in Presec together. And then they moved to Legon together. They were in the university together. They were in the scripture union together. It is important that the society invest in media so that we can attract the best of the best. As for some of us, we are old, 50 years old, we are old. After writing 2 or 3 more books, I'm gone. I may end up in parliament, or I'll end up around the cabinet table somewhere when my right-wing people are in power. But the media has to be sustained, and we're all going to spend a lot of time to do that. After a few, 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 years, I'm gone into another field, politics or something like that. But the media must be sustained. I'm going to write a few more books, and then that's it. Because already my teenage children are putting pressure on me that I should stop the media. They are not giving me a new job to do, but they say I should stop the media. I'm not sure why. But that is something that I have been thinking about for many, many years since I engaged with British media. And I noticed that this is what is missing. The resourcefulness of the individual, the intellectual resourcefulness, and also the wherewithal resourcefulness of the journalist, the lead spokesperson for the people in a democracy must be super resourced. It's in America. If you go and check the salaries of the people who work on CNN and the Syncopa, they are all earning million something a year, $6 million a year, $10 million a year. Now, if a journalist on CNN earns $10 million a year, what is Donald Trump going to take of him? What does he talk to? What does he need politician for? But if the politician has to finish the interview and say that, boys, Bernard, how many are your people? This one is for you, and then how many are your? No. When I did an attachment at the BBC, they don't even sit in the politician's car to go to the assignment. Sky News has a helicopter of their own. Imagine Metro TV have a helicopter. President Mahama is going to Mensah Palace. We take off with him. He should be in his plane. We are in our plane. We go. So when we film it, he has no rights to come and ask us, why did you film this? What did you film this? UK was bidding for the World Cup. BBC put up a panorama documentary that was going to be critical of FIFA. The British authorities were saying that BBC is going to destroy the UK's chances of winning the bid. BBC said, to hell with all of you. We have done our story and we are going after it. And that was what was the beginning of unraveling the corruption in FIFA that eventually led to Sepp Blatter and co leaving. We need that kind of journalism in Africa. We need that kind of journalism in the developing world. It is only then that we can ask the questions of the politicians. And that way, our democracy will be saved. That's what I wanted to say about this photograph to start with. But now let's get to the issues. Play the video first. Let's start with the video. Let's start with Ablakwa's video. And then
3. Some people took the matter to court. And I think the Supreme Court held that whatever name you give it, when 2 countries come up with an arrangement, that places obligations on both of them. Whether you call it a treaty, a contract, it requires ratification. It was a majority decision. Only one person dissented. So I'm a bit surprised you're saying because an MOU, it means that it oughtn't have gone to Parliament. The judgment was very clear on the Guantanamo 3, that Article 75 was violated, which says international agreements must go through Parliament. And you are a 4th-term MP, so at least you could have gone to Parliament. And you have a massive majority. So what's the problem?
No, I agree with you. And that is why I said at the press conference I held a couple of days ago that when this is elevated beyond an MOU and it's a full agreement, we will go to Parliament under Article 75 and have it ratified. At this point, it is just a loose understanding.
The agreement is enforced. But how can you enforce? How can you enforce something you call a loose agreement? That is already enforced. You've got 14. You're bringing 40.
Look, I've inherited so many MOUs that didn't go to Parliament for ratification, and it's
But because of the precedent of the Gitmo 3, I felt like this was, and I think you know this. So is it an oversight? Are you going to apologize for it, or you don't think it is?
No, it's not an oversight because we sought the Attorney General's advice. It was discussed in cabinet, and the Attorney General's advice and his counterpart, the Attorney General on the US side, also said that look, this is an MOU, and MOUs do not require ratification. That is why
the Attorney General is wrong, because the judgment is clear. I can read it.
Oh, you know better law than the Attorney General?
At least the law is there for all of us to read. Unless the English reading of what the Supreme Court said is different.
You see MOUs in that judgment.
The language of Article 75 is very clear. The article forms part of the set of provisions governing the role of the executive arm of government in Ghana's international relations. I'm reading the judgment. Yeah. The scope of the article deals with treaties in general. The side notes and the body of the text makes reference to treaties, agreements, and conventions. It is also clear that the instruments referred to relate to Ghana's international relations with other countries or groups of countries, and the article requires that such instruments must be ratified by Parliament. The Constitution makes no mention of any formal distinctions that are dependent on the formality with which such an instrument is formatted or brought into being. Then it goes on to even list MOUs, etc. This is the judgment. This is Sophia Kufu. I'm not the one saying it. So I don't know whether you're saying because the AG says, in fact, if the argument of the defendant in the state, the government, were to be taken seriously, that the transaction being by way of note verbal, executive agreement, memorandum of understanding, diplomatic note, or what have you, is merely an administrative one, then the question arises as to the exact status of the said persons now that they are in Ghana. Are they migrants? It's a long argument. It basically says, once two countries agree on something of that nature, Parliament must ratify. It's very clear.
We are working with the Attorney General's advice, and the Attorney General's advice is that when this is elevated,
Ablakwa is saying that the Attorney General says so. We don't believe that. But I just got a text from PRESEC, our people, or that dear Chris Fifi Johnson, who campaigned for the NDC heavily during the election, sends me a text and says, Senior, good evening. Bernard Avle was Ablakwa Senior. Bernard is 1998. Ablakwa is 1999. Viewers, you get the point I'm making? You see the point I'm making? Bernard Avle actually was senior. Ablakwa was a year behind him. Now Ablakwa comes to the show and look at Ablakwa trying to intimidate Bernard and say that I do know more law than Attorney General. This is a blatant abuse of power. It's a blatant violation of the law. And I'm so disappointed that it has to be a foreign minister from PRESEC who does this faux pas. Diplomatic, political, legal faux pas. Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa from PRESEC is so worrying for all of us that he was going to, in his light, we are going to see light. Videbimos lumen. Illuminatuo videbimos lumen, in thy light we shall see light. Here is Ablakwa sitting on another audacious platform and he's throwing the faux pas. He says that, I'm sure they forgot or something. I don't understand it. NDC has such an amazing elephant majority in parliament, and they can send anything to parliament and whisper to their people, and they don't do it. In the blatant face of the case of Margaret Banfo and Henry Nana Boakye versus the Attorney General, it is in 2017. What's this? GHAC. I thought it's GLR, or it's Ghana Supreme Court Law Report, I believe. Now, these were the judges who put up the matter, and they called them the quorum. Ekufu CJ, that's Sophia. Atuguba dissented. Adinyira, Doche, Eniyeboa, Bafoboni, and Badegbe, all of them agreed. Where's Justice Atuguba? Justice Atuguba is here dissenting. This is Sophia. This is Adinyira. This is Doche. This is Eniyeboa. This is Bafoboni. And this is Justice Badegbe. May he rest in peace. With Atuguba dissenting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Decision of the court that the government of Ghana is not able to bring in people as Gitmo 3 and say that it was based on a memorandum of understanding. Samia Ablakwa tells Bernard Avle that the Attorney General's view of the matter is that they can do it without Parliament. I do not believe that. I do not believe that Dominic Ayini took that view. Neither do I believe that Sremsai took that view. I believe that it was an oversight from the foreign minister, and he's hiding behind his oversight. You see, sir, why sometimes they don't come on Good Evening Ghana? I keep telling you that nobody has stopped them from coming on Good Evening. Are you going to come on Good Evening Ghana and tell me this? Ablakwa will sit on this show and say that It's that I would massacre him. It's the Attorney General who did that. The law is clear. The Supreme Court decision is there. That's why he won't come. If I invite him, he won't come. And they'll hide behind politics and say, oh, he's doing MPP program. But these are the issues. These are the issues. You see how Bernard caught him flat? And look at Ablakwa's response. Oh, do you know more law than the Attorney General? Oh, my goodness. You should be apologizing for that. You are telling the journalist who is pointing to you a Supreme Court decision, do you know more law than the Attorney General? Really? Well, I've heard Nana Boakye say that he's going back to the Supreme Court to do this. But I use this example to show how journalism can work in Ghana. If Bernard Avle did not conduct this interview, we will all not be talking about this. He didn't conduct the interview. He didn't pierce the veil. Now, these are the people who did the case. J. Bafo, our favorite Good Evening Ghana friend, Henry Nana Boakye and Madam Bamfo, they went to court in 2016 to challenge the decision of the Mahama administration. Marietta Brew then was the Attorney General. Dominic Ayini, today the Attorney General, was a Deputy Attorney General. They went to Supreme Court and obtained a 6-1 decision against the government. It was a case that was lost to the Attorney General. And it beats anyone's imagination why the same group of people come back to power, do the same thing, repeat the same mistake. The same illegality has been repeated in all fours. It has fallen on all fours with this one. The exact same illegality has been repeated, except that some of the actors are different. The president is the same. The foreign minister was Hannah Tete. Now it's Okudzeto Ablakwa. The attorney general was Marietta Brew. Now it's Dominic Ayini, who was in fact the deputy to Marietta Brew. That's not good. That's not right. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay. Is it Article 75 that we need to look at? Yeah, maybe let's look at Article 75 and just leave it over there, and then we can go to text messages. Article 75. The president may execute or cause to be executed treaties, agreements, or conventions in the name of Ghana. A treaty, agreement, or convention executed by or under the authority of the president shall be subject to ratification by A, Act of Parliament, or B, a resolution of Parliament supported by the votes of more than 1/2 of all the members of Parliament. This is very simple and this is very straightforward. That the President of Ghana may execute or cause to be executed agreements or conventions in the name of Ghana. A treaty, agreement, or convention executed by or under the authority of the President shall be subject to the ratification by an Act of Parliament or by a resolution of more than 1/2 of the members of Parliament. This is quite straightforward. This was violated in 2016 by the Mahama administration. The Supreme Court was invited to pass a verdict in a 6-1 decision. The court held that the Mahama administration was wrong in ignoring Parliament to conduct the Gitmo 3 welcome to Ghana. Now, it's not 3, it's over 40 people, West African neighbors, same situation with the United States. United States is deporting them, we are taking them. Well, the matter is kind of sub judice because Oliver Vermaho is about to file a legal action against the government to challenge the decision of the government to do so based on the Supreme Court authority of Bamfo and Henry Nana Boakye versus the Attorney General. It's going to be very interesting. The Supreme Court will have work to do. We'll see whether the Supreme Court will depart from its original decision because they can do that and take a new decision, or whether the Supreme Court will go by their old decision.